Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. And I've got a specially special guest for you today, Andy Page. And she plays Pearl on ABC's General Hospital. She's also a spokesperson for GH's Shop Home and Horror, QVC, Beauty and Style. She's been on expert on national TV and radio for 25 years. I'm really happy to have her on the show to talk about how to use celebrity to build a brand, influence, and I'm really happy to have her on. So, Andy, welcome.
Thank you so very much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, I know you're doing a huge podcast marketing campaign, and we really appreciate your time. So, start off by your story, how you got started. I'm really excited to dive into the questions.
Oh, let me just tell you that this is my actual first acting job. So I am the latest cast member of General Hospital, which is crazy. I'm 54 years old. I'm dedicated to living to be 100, just so you know. And this is probably a cat has nothing on me. I've got like 12 lives. But so to think that I would start this career at this age is a little crazy. I have humble beginnings. I come from a very small town in Alabama. I'm very fortunate that God made me tall. And because I was tall at a very young age, I ended up in New York by the time I was 17. I'm a high school dropout and I got my GED, immediately got into school. I have a double master's in media studies and broadcast journalism, and I started a television career. I've never acted before. Everything that I've done in television has really been me being me. So this is very new, but I really believe and am dedicated to evolution and staying on top of things and watching innovation happen. And that's what this character and this project with General Hospital is about. So I love being a part of it, and that's a little bit of my story.
Yeah, I really love that. And for audiences out there listening, really, they want to get on TV, radio. We have a lot of people that aspire to be in your shoes, TV personality. So, what are some critical lessons for anyone wanting to break into media? And we'll talk about like TV, radio versus social media. Just elaborate.
Yeah, so the landscape is very different than it was for someone starting out in the 70s or 80s, very different because now you don't need anyone's permission to have a radio show, to have a television show. You literally don't have to wait for an executive to give you the green light. Every single person out there listening right now who has a phone can start their own radio show, can start a podcast, can start a television show. The thing about media and building an audience is consistency builds trust. So if you want to do something, then the more consistent that you are, the stronger your audience is. And again, you don't have to wait. You can start tomorrow, today, tonight. It is extremely different. When I was starting out, I thought that you had to go through very different channels to be a part of media, if you will. But everyone now has an opportunity and has a voice. They can build their own platform. So if it is something that you have always dreamed of and want to do, then you have to dedicate yourself to it and be consistent, and an audience will find you.
I love that. And we'll talk about consistency in the later part of the episode. And for a lot of, for example, I was reading this study recently and it was talking about like Gen Z and Gen Alpha and what are their career interests. And surprisingly, like my day and age, it was like be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, dentist, some profession. And now a lot of people, they look down and they're like, they want to be influencers and they want to be TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram stars. So is that the playground to be in as opposed to TV and radio? Is social media eclipsing the traditional media outlets?
It most certainly is. And I too, I have two nephews who are very young. One is 12 and one is 9. And you ask them what they want to do, and they tell you that they want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, okay. But what has happened now with the dawn of YouTube, and I actually, believe it or not, I was a part of a network group in New York City. And I remember the meeting when YouTube was pitched to us. And the female in the room who was one of the original 4 that started YouTube. It's crazy to me. But what has happened with YouTube is, again, you build an audience and they will find you. So YouTube is now starting to create its own independent content. And they are going after their top 100 influencers, if you will, or content developers. And those content developers have an opportunity now to pitch a show. Everything about media has changed. That's very much what I'm talking about too, because it used to be that in an hour of television, you'd have 14 minutes of advertising. And within that 14 minutes, I believe 4 minutes was dedicated to local advertising. And then 10 minutes of that hour was dedicated to national advertising. So both the network and the small affiliate was allowed to make money off of that, off of every single hour. But we all stream now. No one is really watching television the way that we used to. So what is happening with content creation is, and that includes General Hospital and me being a part of the General Hospital cast, is that you are now being advertised to within the show. And that's exactly, why I'm on this big PR push, because everything in media and advertising is changing. And of course, YouTube and social media is a great playground. But the thing to remember is that most of us are still here because of someone advertising. I mean, the YouTubers who are doing so well, it's because someone is advertising. Yeah, innovation in advertising and social media and all that is shifting. And I love kind of being part of it.
Yeah. And which will delve into the future of advertising, because you're having a collaboration between General Hospital and retail products. And how is this shaping the future of advertising and advertising relationships? I'm just curious. Look under the cover and to learn more.
Yeah, it is fascinating. So, like I said, people are watching television in very different ways. So, how do advertisers attract fans and reach consumers? So, the project that I'm a part of is it's really cutting edge. It's an experiment. It's never been done before. But General Hospital is a show that's been on for 61 years. Chris, it's the longest running television show in American television history, which is incredible. It still has millions of people watching it every day. They watch it in different ways. But of course, advertising is starting to wane, and advertising is needed for a show like that to sustain itself. So, within the storyline of General Hospital for the past 2 decades, there has been a storyline of deception beauty. And you had these beautiful women who were cunning and backstabbing, and they developed products, and it was dramatic and it was cool. And they developed serums and lotions and potions and all of these amazing things. And for years, the fans had said, I wish I could have deception beauty, or I wish I could get that night cream, or I wish I could have that red light therapy wand. And as advertising is changing, they actually said, okay, why don't we actually develop this line and see if we can bring it to the audience and see if we can literally build products within the show that consumers will respond to, and we're actually following the storyline. So that's exactly what has happened. So I'm a host on QVC naturally, but I do that, but I was tagged to be a host within Shop Home and Heart, which is actually a fake shopping network within General Hospital. And it's where all the deception products are bought to, or are brought to be sold within General Hospital. And so I'm a host at Home and Heart, and I am launching all of the products that Deception Beauty are now bringing to life. And I do think that this is going to be a huge part of the television future. When I think about all the shows that you and I watched when we were younger, think about if you could have bought the Fonz's leather jacket,
Mhm.
right? Think about if you could have bought the hair products that that Rachel used on Friends.
Mhm.
So if I, growing up, had the opportunity to buy, to purchase, to be in that realm, to actually acquire the things that the people, my favorite people on television were using, then I would have absolutely done that. And so that's really what this is. This is an opportunity for all of those things to come to life and be available to fans and consumers.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's really, I've always been fascinated with the advertising industry. Also, as someone who's been in Hollywood and balancing roles with business, where do you see AI fitting into all of this? And because with consistency and content creation, and now you can create content very quickly, very easily, cheaply. very efficiently. Where does AI play into this? And what advice do you have for people about AI?
Yeah, I think AI is going to play a huge role. I think that there's a place for all of it. I don't believe that human delivery and human demonstrations and human opinion and human stories are going to go away. So, but I do believe that AI is used in many ways. You can ask AI right now to write an episode of television, and it can. But it can, but it still has to be massaged by humans. And I think that will always be the way that it is. I think it will be a tool, but I don't care how great it becomes, it's still going to be massaged and need to be refined by human input. So there is a little bit of worry, but at the same time, I don't think that it will get to a point where humans aren't needed. I think people are still going to enjoy and want to see that humans are involved.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like stories and AI can be part of that. It'll be interesting to see with the AI if you can clone celebrities, personalities, looks, their voice, and then also maybe in the future there's a AI star or AI celebrity just that's in now really the meat of the conversation is how you use your success as a stepping stone. And so first thing is your career has embraced different changes. So for example, a lot of doctors are burned out and now they want to start over. So how can someone embrace a start over mentality when faced with big life or career changes, or you have a disruptive technology, or you have a pandemic? What are your thoughts on starting over and reinvention?
I definitely believe in reinventing yourself. And again, I told you I believe in longevity. And one of the best ways to live longer is to have more goals and continue to work to achieve new things. So I don't just believe in a second act, I believe in a third, a fourth, and a fifth act. I certainly understand burnout. And I also understand what it's like to dedicate your entire life to doing something and then getting to a point where you're just sick of it. So I understand all of that because that's been me too. I will tell you that for me, I have a really big faith and I do a lot of I walk with a lot of ambition and goals and determination. But if I try my hardest every day and I put my hands up and just be like, wherever I'm supposed to go, you know that, dear God, I'm going to show up on time, prepared, and give it 110% to no matter what that is. And the more that you stay open to that, I think that more opportunities will come. Let me just tell you how I actually got this job as Pearl. I was fortunate to do a lot of reality television in the 2000s. And one of the shows that I did was a show called Starting Over, which was also cutting edge, very groundbreaking. I did it for 3 years. It was an Emmy winner. It was great. But we had lots of producers that I worked with on that show, like 35 over 3 years, which is a lot. And how I got the role of Pearl, like 20 years later, is there were producers that I worked with in the 2000s who knew what they were looking for and who remembered me. And the reason that they remembered me is not because I'm the best or I'm all that in a bag of chips. It's because, again, I showed up on time. I was always prepared. I always kept a good attitude. I always give 100%. And so if it's something that, you want to do, you have to remember you don't eat the fruit of the seeds you plant today. So just remember every day you are planting seeds and you just need to make small, movements in a new direction. And before you know it, it will blossom.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a testament. It's investing in yourself, and really, it's all about networking and connections as well, which it looks like you did a lot of. And in this business, what the other thing I have a question is because you've created a best-selling book and you have a patent called Girly Go Garter, and you've done a lot of things. So what are the key steps in turning like a brand into a bestseller or product or a product line is for the audience?
Yeah, we all have ideas, and really products are just solutions, right? Everything is about a solution. So if you have an idea that can solve a problem for people, then you can launch that. So the Girly Go Garter is a hands-free purse that you wear on your leg. And it was invented out of my need to put my need for a place to put my mic pack, to be perfectly honest. Because when you're wearing a transmitter all the time, it's hot and they usually put it on your bra or in your pants and it's just very uncomfortable. So I invented a hands-free purse with pockets that go around your leg that will hold at least 2 transmitters. And I had no idea that also could work for people who are insulin dependent, people who have other medical device needs, people headed to prom or weddings or graduations or anything that you can imagine where they want to store things and not lug a handbag. Yeah, I invented it as a place for me to use on set or as an item for me to use on set. But at our peak, we're in over 6,000 stores. We're in over 80 countries and we hold 19 patents. So the truth is we all have the idea. It's just having the gumption to move forward with it. And that's really what it's all about for me. And again, I'm constantly evolving and I just walk in faith. So I had this great idea. I just got a really strong message that I needed to move forward with it, which I did.
Yeah, interesting. And because it's so fascinating, because I talked to hundreds of thousands of guests, and a lot of the most successful, such as yourself, they do what you did, very disciplined and very regimented, and they approach their whatever they do as a career and with faith as well and intuition. Because the audience are, some of them are female executives and entrepreneurs, and a lot of them are interested in beauty, fashion. So what are some of the beauty and fashion trends right now? Those on a budget, those looking for non-invasive innovations to help them to look younger, just trying to get some more information.
Yeah, of course. So actually, one of the reasons I was so excited to do this project with General Hospital is their lead product that they're launching with is called the Deceptor, and it's all about red light therapy. You, as a doctor, probably know a little bit about red light therapy, but I have been using red light therapy for years. And so I definitely believe in it. So the Deceptor is definitely something that's cutting edge. It used to be very expensive. You used to have to go to the doctor's office to engage in this red light therapy, but now you can have it at home. It's handheld, it's portable, it's very easy. So the Deceptor is definitely something that I believe in, and you can find it at shophomeandheart.com. So that would be an innovation and something that's cutting edge that I think that we all can now use at home, which is great. When it comes to fashion, there are lots of trends. The thing that I believe about looking great on a budget is really about building a smaller wardrobe. The statistic is that we really only utilize about 25 to 30% of our actual wardrobe, and about 70% of what hangs in our closet are things that don't really represent who we are. They don't fit. It's not a part of our lifestyle anymore. So when it comes to looking great all the time, I think that we need to get out all the failure, if you will, and focus on what makes you feel great, what looks beautiful on your body, and build a wardrobe of basics. And then really just utilize accessories to build in trends, because that's the most cost effective way to do things for both men and women. And I think that if you've got a wardrobe of fabulous basics and then you just change up, your latest shoe or something like that, is the most cost effective way to go about things.
Yeah, really very powerful. I know we're at the end of the interview, and so leave the audience inspired. What are the biggest lessons you've learned in Hollywood, and what can they anticipate with General Hospital and what you're up to these days?
Yeah. Some of the biggest lessons I've actually shared, it really is to, no matter how small you think the project is or how small you think the work is, there is value in all work. There is value in everything that you're doing. So I definitely believe it's about giving your best all the time. And you mentioned that I was regimented and I was organized. I'm not. What I really am is I'm just dedicated to doing the best of whatever it is that I'm doing and showing up ready and eager and interested to learn and to be a part and to contribute. That would be my big takeaway, is that attitude can mean a lot. You probably want to listen more than you want to contribute. The more that I listen, the more that I learn and the wiser that I become. So I think that's like a big thing. Yes, we do have a lot of new products coming out with shophomeandheart.com and with the Deceiver serums and Deceiver makeup or deception makeup. And so there is a lot on the horizon, which is a lot of fun, and just being a part of this show and this cutting edge marketing, advertising, we're living in amazing times. What we have at our disposal and what we're witnessing is amazing. And sometimes I think that we lose sight of how fortunate we all are to live in this day and age. So you just want to stay relevant and stay current and enjoy where we are.
Yeah. Very powerful. I love that. And just basically always on the cutting edge and innovating. And where can people find you? And I know your social media and reach out to you and connect with you.
Yeah. So I'm on all platforms, Andy Page, ANDYPAIGE. And of course, you can find a lot of this at shophomeandheart.com. You can find me on Instagram. I'm actually shopwithpearl.gh on Instagram because Pearl on GH. But yeah, LinkedIn, all of those things are where you can find, just need to look for the Andy Page. That's me. And my book, The Girly Go Garter, all of it is certainly available. And I'm always happy to have conversations and listen to new ideas and would love to talk to anyone who wants to.
Awesome conversation. And thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much, Chris.